Hi, my name is Steven.
It is I, Kevin.
And I am David, the eldest champion.
And we are the Brothers Born.
We invite you to bear witness as this most unlikely of throwdowns is about to commence.
Welcome back, everyone, to the next Brothers Born throwdown. Throwdown, right? Yeah. Okay. Unlikely
Yes.
Sorry.
throwdown. All right.
It's
Welcome back to the next.
unlikely.
Welcome back to the next unlikely throwdown episode. We have a kind of a I don't want to say a special episode, but I wanted to put these two things or two characters together in a match because I think this would be a great battle. So I forced David and Steven to have their own character of my choosing, and we'll see how that goes. So, which one do you want to start us off?
Flip a coin, bro.
I'll just
Yeah.
go.
All right, go ahead, Dave.
Unless you want
No, go for it.
All right. Okay, so first of all, this was tough because there's not a lot of specific information about this character or this class of characters. It's not an individual person. It refers to a group of people with a certain job and a certain organization. Let's see. I don't know. How can I explain it without giving it away?
I feel like I'm gonna have the same problem here in a few minutes.
They belong to an evil organization, an evil terror organization.
Cobra Vipers.
You're on the right track.
Dang
Not
it.
exactly.
I thought for sure Kevin would have given you that.
They're the predecessors of the Vipers.
I don't know
Um,
who that is.
From what I could tell from all the history I researched, they first made appearance in 1982. Kevin probably would know that for sure.
Yes.
They were used over the years, rebranded several times, given new colors, given and new names, kind of, at least in the action figure version of them, I guess.
You're in the correct realm, Steven. Just the wrong
Yes, you're in the right
type.
universe, just not the right title. Now, the Vipers might have started as one of these people.
Oh, so it's from G.I. Joe.
Yeah, and when
Yeah.
Cobra as an organization started, this was the first, before they got
Cobra.
more specific, this was kind of the first.
I don't know. All I remember is the Cobra Vipers, right? Or who are the guys? This is like they're grunts. They're grunt soldiers.
Yeah. They're called the Cobra Troopers.
Oh, Cobra Troop. Whatever. Okay, fine.
Yeah.
Cobra Troopers.
Well, it's different than Viper, technically. I mean,
Okay.
It is
similar,
different.
but different.
Cobra Troopers. Very cool. All right.
Yes.
Well, mine is also not a specific character, but rather a type of
figured.
character.
I'm
I
gonna
think
guess
Kevin-
either Stormtrooper, Foot Soldier, one of those two.
Kevin did a little bit of a theme here, it seems. He is a type of soldier. This one debuted in 1977,
Stormtrooper.
greatly inspired by the German word Sturmabteilung, I guess, which is a special division of the Nazi Party. So stormtroopers are inspired by like Nazis, the German soldiers, I guess. Fun fact about them, recently, I think in 2018, they actually named a spider after them called the Stormtroopers. It's a genus of Columbia bald-legged spiders. This is thanks to C. Parafan, W. Galvis, and Fernando Perez Miles. So there you go. A little fun biology fact here. You know, I'm always learning things when I do unlikely throwdowns that I never would have learned otherwise. So
Yeah, I didn't know that.
they're often portrayed as buffoons and poor soldiers, but there have been some very good exceptions to this as the Star Wars universe has expanded.
I can only think of one.
Oh, there's a few, but yeah, Stormtroopers versus Cobra Troopers. I should have
Well,
known. I kind of felt like when Kevin sent me to Stormtroopers, I'm like, I bet it's the G.I. Joe. I thought it was Vipers. I didn't know it was Cobra Troopers.
It became Vipers eventually, but Cobra Troopers were always there though. And
That shows your
I
guys'
thought
age
that
versus
I
me.
was expecting maybe Foot Soldiers, Stormtroopers, but yeah, so we could
I,
have like had a third one, Foot Soldiers. I'm sure there's others we could have used too, but
so before we continue, I will have to say I am not allowed to do a tie for this one. I have to pick a winner, and I
Yes, you
say
do.
it because
this is
I
one
feel
that
like these
it
two
would be a
I feel like
tie.
these two are pretty evenly matched. They kind of have the same.
Well, let me get more into my history of it sort of before the abilities won't take very long. So I'll just kind of give you a background. Cobra Troopers are like the main entry point of being in the Cobra organization. They're usually unintelligent, slightly cowardly sometimes. Um, they have over there's some in the different groups of there's like a group of them will be led by a Cobra officer who is like still the officer's equivalent of Cobra Trooper. He's still not very smart, but he's at least attained the rank of officer. Um, so these guys, well, from what I heard, what I saw, their rank would be typical of E1 to E4, E1 to E3 in our United States military.
Huh, interesting.
Let's see. They just a couple, then I'll pass it over for a minute. They're not very smart, not kind of cowardly, don't really have a lot of skills. Um, a lot of times, like they've been given various missions over the years. There's one mission in particular where they kidnapped a doctor named Adele Burkhart. Kevin probably already knows all this because he's a G.I. Joe
Yes.
genius.
Yes, I'm familiar with this.
They took her off to a Caribbean island, and the Cobra Troopers were implemented to kind of defend to keep her under captivity or whatever. There's 1,200 of them. They killed all the indigenous people on this island. I don't know how they killed all the people. They must have been just like tribal people or something with no weapons. But they did that to prevent any uprising, and they kept this doctor there. But it didn't matter. Like 2 or 3 GI Joes came and killed them all and got the doctor free, I think. What I read. I think one of them was Snake Eyes, and then maybe Flint. I mean, I don't know. Other missions they've done, they do lots of kidnappings. They do missions to steal secret plans from various places around the world. They do a lot in the Middle East for some reason. They do a lot of thieving operations. Usually there's a big giant gem or diamond involved when they have to do that. They kind of a lot ally with the mafia. I've seen that before. There's one where they try to act like they're fighting the mafia when really they're trying to become allied. They're allies with each other, but they want to appear like they're fighting each other. So just all kinds of weird shenanigans, usually involving kidnapping or stealing gems. And usually there's tomfoolery involved, and just can't be really taken seriously. Just a couple of things. Let's see. Training wise, they have the most basic training. They're pretty much just thugs, pirates, mercenaries, just lowlifes from all over the world. Cobra is the only one that invites them to come join them. Only organization that accepts them is Cobra. They have the most basic uniform, much like the Stormtroopers. They have most basic equipment. In fact, the original one, I don't even know what they had, probably just one gun. But when they rebranded the Cobra Trooper in the early 2000s, they had a backpack, a pistol, and a gun, and a stand for them to stand on to put so you could pose them and stuff. That's what they came with. Let's see, low-level infantry. Pretty much they're just told to go out and cause trouble. That's all they're really told.
Is there much like discipline within their ranks?
I mean, there's basic training they're given. There's a lot of them that they're not very disciplined, no, not really.
So
But
once you're
Cobra itself isn't very disciplined either, even if you look to the top of it. But with Destro and Cobra Commander, Destro is always trying to usurp Cobra Commander's authority, and just there's not really much discipline in the whole Cobra organization, if you ask me. But definitely not at this level. So they just swear their main thing is, okay, I'll stop there actually. That's kind of just the history of it and kind of where they're coming from, equipment they have. I'll talk about abilities after you give me a little more background of yours.
One of them became a Joe, right? Mercer. I think I remember that being.
Yeah.
He was a Viper though.
Oh, so
Yeah,
Vipers are
it's
like
just-
more elite than
Yeah,
the
kind
Troopers.
of like Kevin might be able to elaborate on this, but Cobra Troopers were what started it all, kind of the baseline
Gotcha.
of the G.I.
They're
Joe.
your grunts,
The
your
Cobras
basic
pretty much
grunts.
all they had
And-
was Cobra Commander, Cobra Troopers, Cobra Officer, and maybe 1 or 2 other people. I think Baroness and Destro came along a little bit after. I could be wrong on that. Maybe the next year after.
But the Vipers are like they're more specialized troops.
Yeah.
They have
I
like
mean, there's
different
a
types of
generic
Vipers.
Viper too. Like Kevin, if I remember, I had the generic Viper, which kind of took They were still Cobra Troopers, but it became more focused on the Viper. That was like in
Okay.
1987 or something. Anyway, 86. I remember the figure. It had a full mask on, like a bulletproof mat, whatever. Whereas the Cobra Trooper just had a ninja mask and you could see his eyes. The Viper had a little more um, higher equipment as far as weapons and protective gear and stuff goes. But I think their intelligence level was pretty much the same, maybe a little bit higher. The thing with Vipers, eventually they became more specialized. I just want to give you a couple names of different Vipers out there just because I thought this was funny. I found a list of all the different types of Vipers. Kevin and I had a lot of different Viper figures. I
I
remember
remember
Night
some of
Viper,
them.
Alley Viper, Televiper, but some of them that I came up with when I read, there's like dozens and dozens of them. There's Alley Viper, Astro Viper, he was an astronaut. Hazard Viper, his specialty was hazardous chemicals. Jungle Viper, pretty much you know what he was. Kitchen Viper.
Kitchen
There's a
Viper.
There was
kitchen
What
never
viper.
a
did
I
he
did not
figure
know
of
do?
about
Kitchen
kitchen. I did
Viper.
not know about kitchen viper.
He was referenced in the comics. Of all the things I'd want to be, like, can you imagine how bottom of the barrel that would be?
He's probably safe though, right? He's not in
Yeah, that's
combat. He's
true. He
cooking.
just cooks for people. They never made a figure of him. I wish they would have made a figure
That
of
would have been sweet.
Yeah, they didn't eventually make a figure of after a while, like way later, the Cobra finally was like, hey, Cobra needs medics too, so they actually have
Yeah,
a
I was
medic
gonna say
fiber.
Meta Viper was the next one I was gonna say. Did you know there was a Ninja Viper, Kevin?
Yes.
I did not know that. Night Viper, Rock Viper, they're mountain troopers. Shadow Viper. My favorite of all time with the figures was Televiper. I used to make that guy so stupid and make him get killed all the time. His specialty was communications, and he had this
That's
weird
important.
radar jammer gun. I know, but the figure was dumb looking. And it was the first figure where the sack fell off for me. Like there's a
Uh
little thing in the middle that holds her legs together sometimes with some of the
oh,
figures
so he was
that
the
would fall
first
off.
castrated figure you had.
It was that one, and it was my Lifeline Tiger Force figure fell off of him too. I saved his junk in one of my vehicles, little storage compartment, but it's probably still there if you go to mom's attic. But anyways, Televiper was my favorite figure because I used to make him get killed all the time. Kevin and I both had a Televiper, if I remember right.
I
Yeah, we
do.
did.
I
But I digress. Mine was the only one with a missing sack, if I remember, or maybe Kevin's was. I don't know. But only one of them had a missing sack. But anyways, there's
That's a war wound.
so many Vipers were more specialized, but Cobra Troopers were pretty generic. And also, when I was looking up names of GI Joes to find out, there's some cringy GI Joe names. Do you know there's a GI Joe named Sneak Peek?
Yeah, sneak peek, dude. He's like a spy. Yeah, dude, he
That's
got killed in the
weird.
There's one.
comics.
There's
He
one.
got
I knew
killed.
this, but I forgot about it. There's one named Snow Job,
Yeah, snow job.
and then
I remember him.
there's one named Zap, and one named Hot Shot, and one named Toll Booth. Toll Booth, I remember him. He drove the tank that laid the bridge for other vehicles to cross.
Dude, Zap was one of the original ones though.
I know he was, but still, a stupid name. Sneak Peek was the one that set me off the most, though.
Poor
But
sneak peek
anyways,
died.
that's not what. Oh, you keep thinking, reminding me of all these stories more than the throwdown. But anyways, I don't need to tell anymore. But that's Vipers were more specialized, but still dumb, but not as dumb as Cobra Troopers. So
All
go
right.
ahead. I'm sorry.
It's
I'll give you
okay.
the
That's a lot of information. A lot of it parallels quite nicely with Stormtroopers. Stormtroopers are interesting because you have a couple different varieties as far as like timeline. You have the Galactic Empire, which is like, the main like episode 4, 5, and 6, like the first Stormtroopers. But they also have the Army of the Republic when you go to like the Clone Wars days, which are like the clones Stormtroopers. And then you have the First Order in the newer um Star Wars movies. So there's kind of these three different timelines of Stormtroopers.
I,
They all kind of do the same thing, but
I don't think we can include clone troopers though. They're a little bit on a different side.
yeah, I know. I'm going to talk about that a little bit. I'm just kind
I
of giving
forgot to
some lore.
mention too, not to interrupt, but there's one called Bats. Stephen
Oh,
Kevin
I
had
remember
this
Bats.
figure. It's like an android, and they created him so that the GI Joes could kill a bunch of them without seeing so much violence of actual humans being killed in the show. But
Yeah,
anyways,
they're like
sorry.
robots
Go
and
ahead.
stuff.
Yeah, I
Um,
didn't know if there's a version of the Stormtroopers that was robotic. That's all.
There is actually
yeah, I think yeah.
the
I'm not.
dark troopers, I think.
Okay.
So Stormtroopers originally they were planned to actually wield lightsabers, but they ended up not doing that, and they gave that to the Jedi and the Sith instead. But in the early days of development of Star Wars, um, Clone troopers, I know I'm not using a clone trooper, but a couple they're a little more powerful, but they had accelerated age. So eventually they were forced to retire and they were replaced by men and women who were recruited or conscripted to serve at a young age as a stormtrooper. They undergo fierce training at imperial academies, and they're conditioned to have fierce loyalty, strict discipline, and efficient combat skills, including how to be brutal. Their individualism is stripped of them, even to the point where some are referred to as numbers instead of their names. You see this a little bit in First Order with FN2187 or Finn. Many stormtroopers have conducted unspeakable, brutal acts in the name of Emperor Palpatine. Though, admittedly, training standards vary across these different Imperial training camps because some of them are just terrible, not very good, terrible shots, and they seem rather oafish, whereas some of them could be a little more formidable. Uh, Kevin could probably elaborate more. He could, but from my perspective, being mostly just a movie person with Star Wars, it seems like they're all kind of bad. They're kind of not good at what they do. But I know in the cartoons and the comics and the books and things, they explore this a lot of Stormtrooper stories a little bit more and make them a little more
If they're
legit.
like if they're like Cobra Troopers, some of them are good and work their way up through the ranks, become officers, become more specialized Vipers eventually. Um, so yeah, most of them are pretty dumb though.
You mentioned all the different types of Cobra Troopers. I counted just off this one article about how many different types of Stormtroopers there are. I want to take a guess at what my number is. Kevin, you go first.
I have no idea. 15.
I'm gonna
David,
say 63.
48. There are 48 variants of Stormtroopers. I'm not going to name all of them, but you're familiar with Sand Troopers. They got the cool, like, shoulder plate thing. Snow Troopers, Scout Troopers, Shock Troopers, Death Troopers, Shore Troopers, Patrol, Swamp, Range, Jump, Dark, Shadow, Purge, Lava, Forest, Sea, Space, Flame, Incinerator, Artillery, Special Commando, Advanced Recon Troopers, Elite Squad, Storm Commandos, Heavy Troopers. There's a lot of them. Magma, Undead. There's even Undead. There's like Zombie Troopers.
Dude, I think those are from a book. It's called Death Troopers or something
Yeah.
like that. Dude, that book is awesome. Zombie Stormtroopers. It's cool.
They got Jet, Executioner, Snow, Riot Control, Raiders, Scuba, Tech, Walker, Sith Troopers. And there's 4 different variants of Sith Troopers. I guess these Sith Troopers are a little more they're more of the elite ones. But yeah, there's a lot of different stormtroopers out there. But I'm gonna focus on just your run-of-the-mill generic regular Joe trooper today. But there are a lot out there, and some of them do seem a lot more powerful or formidable compared to the
It's
others.
kind of it's kind of the same with me. I listed the Vipers, but the actual different Cobra Troopers, there's one called, well, there's the regular ones, and there's the night assault ones, which are the regular ones, but at nighttime. There's desert ones. There's Python Patrol, which Hasbro rebranded the original Cobra Trooper figure into a Python Trooper, which I think one of us had that one.
I think I
Python
had them.
Patrol came out in the late 80s to kind of fight against Tiger Force, which the G.I. Joe came out with. They also had gunners, paratroopers, anti-armor troopers, explosive specialists, flamethrower. G.I. Joe always loved
Hold on. So,
flamethrower.
David, your
And hostile
Televiper,
environment troopers.
your Televiper that lost his junk. He's definitely not a Python trooper. He couldn't make it.
No, 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 definitely not.
If I remember, I had the Python Trooper figure, and you had the Python Officer
I think
figure.
so.
I believe, yeah.
And I had like the jet and you had the helicopter or something for both Tiger Force and Python Patrol. Did you know there's a version of the Cobra Trooper called the Night Stalkers? And you know, to be in that, it's an all-female.
Oh,
It's
that's cool.
all-female
That I
regiment.
didn't know about. No.
Night Stalkers, yeah. I wish I knew a little bit more about them, but I would want to fight them if I was in G.I. Joe. That'd be fun. But
Why?
they're all female.
Why is
I
that
bet
more fun than fighting a dude?
But yeah, there's not as many different kinds of
I'd
Cobra
rather
Troopers.
shoot at the girls.
No, I was kidding. But there's not as many different kinds of Cobra Troopers as there's Stormtroopers. Do you have
All
any
right.
more? Sorry, or are you ready to get into
No,
a
I was just gonna comment. I wish I could have grown up with you guys. I know I did in a sense, but you guys had these toys and like, I don't know. I missed out
We
on
had
that.
some times, dude. We had some times.
I played with them later, but not in the same capacity that
Like
y'all did.
He-Man, we missed the boat on because Kevin was a little bit young for that. I had pretty much all the He-Man. Kevin got into it a little bit. And then later, after like Transformers, you couldn't really find that many in the army bases, or we, at least I don't remember finding that many. But there was a lot of GI Joes. GI Joe kind of bridged the gap between us. Like I liked
Yeah.
him, and then Kevin liked him, and then when I got older, Kevin still liked him, but he
And
made
then
him.
I liked him. So Kevin got the best. He got to play with you and with me.
Yeah. But GI Joe is kind of like our longest running thing we did together.
Yeah, I still buy G.I. Joe figures.
No,
That's
I
my
can't do it,
probably
man.
number one fandom,
The ones
unfortunately.
today that I see at Walmart, some of them will cost $40. I can't do it.
So, we kind of digressed a little bit, but we got Cobra Troopers versus Stormtroopers. I think this is they're evenly matched in a lot of ways. So I think this is going to be interesting, and we'll get back to that in a minute. But first, let's take a quick break. Hello there. Do you like the sound of my voice? That's a stupid question. Of course you do. And because you love my voice so much, you probably want to hear it with more clarity. Well, good news. You can help make that happen. You see, having access to better equipment means better quality, but better equipment is expensive. By donating some funds our way, you can help us improve the equipment we have and help us with any fees and the like we accumulate while producing content. We have 3 tiers of donation available. First is a monthly payment of 99 cents. Tier 2 is a monthly payment of $4.99, and our third tier of monthly payment is $9.99. To make donations, follow the link embedded in this episode's notes. There's of course no obligation, and you can still listen to our content for free. But if you love my voice, as well as those of my bros, or if you just want us to have a better looking site, we would welcome your support. Thank you in advance, and please enjoy the rest of the show. And welcome back, friends.
Hello, welcome back.
What's up?
All right,
So
so
just real quick, we're both going with we're both going with the very generic version of our
Yes.
people, like the original Stormtrooper, the original Cobra.
Yes, correct.
Even though we explained the other kinds
I,
that are
I
available.
I feel
Okay.
like if you guys want to get into a little bit of the more specialty ones in some of their vehicles, you can, but primarily, yes, we're focusing on just the generic
I
basic.
did want to, sorry, one more thing I wanted to mention. There's this one thing called the 501st Legion, also known as Vader's Fist, and they are like the bomb deity, max extreme kind of stormtroopers. They're like the ones that, like his greatest, like Vader's squadron, if you will. So they're just really cool and really powerful. So I wanted to just mention
The
that.
501st is pretty awesome. They were around here in Clone Wars too. Captain Rex, which we had in the throwdown, was part of the 501st.
Okay, gotcha. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. Let's bring it in. Let's start this to see who's
I'll go
who's
first.
gonna win between these two
Actually, yeah, I'll go first.
occupations.
So I'm going to talk about weapons, and I wanted to play a little game here. David, please
Sure.
work with me on this. Kevin,
Hmm?
please name the standard firearm for Imperial Stormtroopers. I know you know it.
I don't for sure, but I want to say it's the D-17 blaster.
It's the Blastech E11 blaster. Dang it, I
Oh,
thought I caught
okay.
you in your nerdom.
No. Oh, who has the D-17 then?
I don't know. I don't even know. I'm just impressed that you even know that's a thing. But anyway, Stormtroopers have Blastech E11 blaster rifles. They're inspired by um like an old rifle from World War II era, I
Yeah, they
believe.
look kind of like a Sten a little bit.
Yeah. Um, they got a telescope for range fighting. They have they can at their plasma cartridges provide enough gas for 500 shots. Though standard power cell, so like to energize the gas that produces blaster bolts, will actually be only 100 shots, but they're a little bit more accurate, a little bit better than the standard
How
plasma
many can
shots.
they shoot before they already get killed? Like
Hey, easy there.
they could probably lift off a
Um,
couple of ones before they get killed by one little pistol shot from Han Solo.
They have so they have these blaster rifles. They also have thermal detonators, sniper rifles, and uh heavy repeating blasters and mortars. They've used all these kinds of weapons. Like each standard military, a lot of different like they have like range weapons, close combat.
So
They
those
have
weapons you just listed, that's what a standard stormtrooper has.
well, like a standard trooper, I guess if you're going just standard trooper, it's the blaster rifle. But a standard
Yeah.
trooper
Hey,
might be,
I'm
but a
just
standard
saying.
trooper might be using these other weapons. It's not like he's a specialized trooper to be
The
able to use those things.
the most common one would be the E11 that he was
Yeah, the
talking about.
E11 blaster rifle. So 500 shots and 100 specialized shots. That's what here, Kevin. They were based on the MK4 Sterling submachine gun. That's what they were based off of. And also included American MK38 scope. So I don't know what any of those are, but kind of got a combination of a couple weapons to inspire it. So main thing, blaster rifle, and they also First Order Stormtroopers will have a riot shield and riot control batons. So that's
Okay.
weapons. I'm going to talk about armor later. I'm going to pass it over to you weapons because armor's a little more significant here.
All right, but you might as well lay it. I'm just gonna lay it all out now. Here's my weapons. The original one, I believe, only had a rifle, maybe an automatic rifle. I don't even know if it was a fully automatic machine gun. The newer one that they rebranded in the early 2000s had a rifle and a pistol. Also a backpack. Who knows what's in the backpack? I'm guessing just regular survival stuff, or maybe it's just to look cool. Maybe they have like a canteen in there, a little pad that they can sleep on.
Yeah,
Maybe
sure,
like a rain
probably
jacket or
bullets.
something. I
Maybe
don't know. Maybe a shovel to dig a hole so they could take a crap, maybe, and bury it. And then they had a stand. I mentioned that earlier that you could, but that's just a toy. The actual, if we're, talking about real life, whatever. A rifle,
real
a
life
low,
Cobra Troopers.
and a
Look
backpack.
out,
But
America.
maybe if for the purpose of this throwdown, I'm gonna imagine that the backpack had a lot of awesome weapons in it that could destroy pretty much the Stormtroopers' weapons. Because the Stormtroopers don't have a backpack, so we know everything they have. I think I can speculate more on what my Cobra Troopers have in that backpack. So that's what I'll be doing to help my cause. Now, the advantages they have, I'm just gonna give you abilities now because it'll take me like 30 seconds. Advantages: pure nastiness, sheer numbers, sworn loyalty to Cobra Commander. That's pretty much it. So they're just really bad people that come from bad walks of life. I do have two quotes I want to give you. Should I give them now? I just don't want to
No,
forget
save
them.
the quotes for the end. I
I'll
want
give
to
them
do
at the end.
we'll do the cooking later.
But if we're going with the basic Cobra Troopers, they do come from all over the world, so there's a various background. They might have experience intelligence from whatever situation they're in, because they come from all walks of life, and I'm sure Stormtroopers do too. But yeah, my advantage, pure nastiness, sheer numbers, sworn loyalty to Cobra Commander. The training leaves a little to be desired. The equipment leaves a little to be desired. The uniform is not very protective. They've got a little mask over their face.
Their
Vipers,
arms are exposed. They have like t-shirts on, if I recall, right? Like
yeah, I
this
don't
part
even
of
know
their
if they
arm
wear
is.
bulletproof vests, to be honest with you. So I know the Stormtroopers have armor, although I feel like their armor is nothing, no resistance when they fight anyone, but still, I know
Let me
they have
talk about
armor.
this armor. All right, I thought that too. And the movie sort of give you the impression that the armor does nothing, but
All right,
it
well, just so everybody knows, that's where I rest my case for abilities. All right, go
now
ahead.
the Stormtrooper armor is developed by, and manufactured by the Imperial Department of Military Research. It has 18 white plastoid armor plates attached to a black body glove.
My guys wear boots.
Um, this next part, these plates are generally impervious to most projectile weapons and blast shrapnel, and will protect
Not on the
against
movies.
glancing hits by other blaster rifles through a direct hit will penetrate, which sort of implies that like the heroes of Star Wars always have direct hits, so because they always smoke them. But the armor is
It
also
doesn't make sense. It's armor, but a direct hit can penetrate it. So
Well, I mean, it's
what
not that
other
different
kinds of
from
hits are there?
it's not that different from like stuff we use in the real army, like Kevlar. I mean, if you take a direct hit from certain types of weapons, that Kevlar ain't gonna do anything for you, but it will help against like shrapnel or like lancing blows or like smaller caliber weapons.
it's fair. I guess I spoke too soon. The soldier speaks, and we listen.
Both these soldiers are kind of what Kevin was in the army, aren't they?
No, Kevin was like a boss of soldiers eventually.
I'm just kidding.
He
I
was
know
like
Kevin.
he was like a Cobra Viper or
He
a
was,
Death
hey,
Trooper.
I was just joking because he was ripping on both of us. I
I,
know
I worked with
Kevin,
the Cav for a little while, so if anything, I'd be like a scout trooper.
Um,
or a meta viper.
Yeah,
sidebar:
Meta Viper.
we have a little text group, me, David, Kevin, and two of Kevin's friends and one of my friends. And Kevin said something about, I don't know, something about a gun, I don't remember. But then one of Kevin's buddies and I started making a bunch of Chuck Norris jokes, but instead of Chuck Norris, we used Kevin's name. And it was the most delightful thing I've done in a while on the text chain. It was so fun doing that. But anyway,
I don't remember that. I must not have paid attention.
So, a little bit more about the armor. It is protection against a lot of inhospitable environments, including the vacuum of space for a short period of time. It's not like an astronaut suit where they can be in space for a long time, but if they get knocked out for a minute, they're okay for a little bit. Their helmets have filtration systems for like polluted environments, and then they have the hookups for incorporating like a atmospheric tank while they're in space, or to filter potential toxins. They also have built-in communication systems and multi-frequency targeting and acquisition systems linked to in-lens displays that provide tactical information and protection from the sun. They got sunglasses on. And they can see through smoke, fire, and darkness. So these helmets are pretty cool. They can live in space for a little bit.
How's Empire afford all this, man?
I don't they got money, brother. I
There's
don't know.
billions of stormtroopers, and one of these uniforms alone seems like it would cost a couple $100,000. I don't know.
Couple credits, couple galactic credits. So yeah, they protect from toxins, from space, and they can communicate with each other without an earpiece, which is pretty cool. So the helmet's pretty rad, actually. Um, so yeah, the helmet's pretty cool. That armor's pretty good. But they don't have all they have is the one gun if we're going standard. I mean, I explained those other weapons, but your run-of-the-mill stormtrooper has the blaster rifle. So maybe you have it over me with weapons, but I definitely got it over you in armor.
Yours
And
is a space weapon, though, so it's probably better.
so, and you mentioned sheer nastiness. Oh no, nastiness, sheer numbers, and loyalty to Darth Vader. Let me give you this.
Cobra Commander.
Brutality, sheer numbers, loyalty to the Empire. So it's like the same thing, really. But
Mine are. Go ahead. Sorry.
I think both of I was gonna say sometimes I was gonna give you something and saying that stormtroopers were kind of dumb sometimes, but I think Cobra Troopers also sound dumb sometimes. So I think as far as their characteristics as people, I think we're in the same boat.
Yeah.
But my
Pretty
armor
much.
is superior, and I have a space rifle. You have not very much armor. You have a rifle, and you have a backpack of mysterious contents. So
Which I'm going to use to
I
blow
will
you
I
up,
will
man.
say
I'm
this.
taking
I
that
will say this
backpack
for
to-
Dave though. If you go by the cartoon version of the Cobra Trooper, then they would have laser guns.
oh, that's true. That's true. That's because
What?
yeah, they do in
That's
the
true.
cartoon.
I think that they didn't really have laser guns. It's just the cartoon made them sound like lasers.
Don't stormtroopers have some sort of like little knife thing, like a little laser knife or something? I swear they have other.
Like if I
I
some
got a
of them
shovel in my backpack.
do. This show will work you, man.
I might have a Swiss Army knife in there too. I
Dude,
don't know.
impenetrable armor. Direct hit of a shovel probably won't do anything to a stormtrooper armor.
No, but that's blunt trauma. It's probably still do some damage.
18 plates. 18 plastoid
I'm not
plates.
going to argue the armor. I got you. A couple things I forgot to say. The one thing that my
Oh, here
guys
it goes. Oh, I'm just going to tell you something 30 seconds. Oh, by the way, just here's some more for you.
No, it's just
Bring
I
it.
keep looking at my notes. The one thing the training I mentioned was pretty low level. The main thing about their training is just they're told to go out and cause trouble, is what they're told. So they haven't really received too much military training at all. Cobra probably just, oh yeah, come on in and join us. They probably get like a day or two of training. Go out and cause trouble, do dumb things. So that's what they do. But they're loyal to their master because no one else will take them. And they're used for pure nastiness. So I feel like mine are willing to take more steps in like unconventional ways of war and fighting, like that are not as accepted. Like mine probably are more nasty than yours. But
Yeah, I
imagine
think that's
there's some
fair.
stormtroopers that are probably pretty low life as well. But stormtroopers seem like they have some kind of respect a little bit in the organization they're in, and a little bit more, not as raw as mine and rough, I guess. But
Yeah.
both of our like I think yours probably have more training, but mine maybe just are more willing to do the nasty jobs, I guess, or the bad jobs, if that makes sense. I don't know if Kevin agrees with me.
Yeah, I agree with that.
That's pretty much it for me, though. I do have two quotes I want to show you or tell you about. And that's pretty much it.
All right.
All right,
So let's do some quote game then. Give me one. I'll give you one. That we'll go back and forth.
Mine are, I only have one quote from a stormtrooper that I could find. And I
Stormtrooper.
have one
I'm the
quote from
stormtrooper.
General Hawk about the stormtroopers.
Wait, you're talking about
I
stormtroopers?
keep saying stormtrooper. Why'd you have to pick two things that are trooper in the end? I have one quote for Cobra Troopers and one quote that General Hawk says to describe the Cobra Troopers.
All right, go ahead.
All right, here's the General Hawk quote. Are you ready?
Yes.
General Hawk once said that they're so stupid that they have to be reminded to breathe.
Oh man,
There's the General
that
Hawk.
was real mean, real nasty there, General Hawk.
But their quote says this. This is the Cobra Trooper quote. We're the grunts of the Cobra organization, the guys who pour into the field and fight for all we're worth, overpowering the enemy with might, meanness, and machine guns. That's their quote. So they're going to be mean. There's numbers. Some of them are probably pretty strong. They're probably like former prisoners that are ripped and stuff. I don't know. And they are going to use their guns and their numbers and meanness to destroy you. So there.
Huh.
Dude, you remember that comic issue where there was a Saw Viper that took out like 5 Joes and like killed a bunch of them?
That's
I remember faintly that, kind of.
well. Here we get some Stormtrooper quotes. Quote: Jedi. End quote. Quote: The Jedi is here. End quote.
Dude, there's more Stormtrooper quotes than that.
Quote: We found the Jedi. End quote. Quote: It's
Dude.
the Jedi. Get him. End quote.
Dude, you forgot you haven't said the most like one of the most famous Stormtrooper lines.
Quote: This is a Jedi, and that is a laser sword. End quote. All right, what's the quote
So
you
they're
got?
scared. They're pretty much
You,
scared
you,
of
you,
Jedis.
you forgot these aren't the droids we're looking for.
Oh yeah, of course. Quote: These aren't the droids you're looking for.
That was really a Jedi quote, though, because the Jedi.
No, but they said it, they repeated it though.
I
Move
know, but
along. Don't forget,
the
move
source
along.
of the quote was a Jedi.
Move along.
Oh,
Or
yeah,
or,
move
or, or the
along.
Wilhelm scream. They do a lot of that.
Your standard Stormtrooper is kind of lame. I'll be real. But there are some really cool ones. There's like Finn. There's that one dude who was actually a Jedi who was a Stormtrooper for a while.
I like Captain Phasma or whatever.
Captain
She's cool.
Phasma. You got like the
She
Bad
is
Batch
definitely more
guys.
better. She's definitely a lot better than the Cobra officer, which is the leader of a group of Cobra troopers.
So, but that's where I'm at. I don't got much else for Stormtroopers without going into their specialties. I mean, there's lots of those. Like there's like the Death Troopers.
So
And some of those are a little more sophisticated. But your standard
Yes.
run-of-the-mill trooper, I rest my case here. He's committed to the Empire. He's got sweet armor, and when trained, he can be pretty accurate.
same with me. And I have a backpack that I think could destroy you. Kevin, you got to give me that. There has to be some cool stuff in that backpack that you know about that I don't. But intelligence wise, they're pretty much the same. Numbers wise, I'm sure they're pretty much the same. Actually, there's probably more Stormtroopers because you have a universe to pull from. I only have Earth. But intelligence, yeah, and I think mine might be a little more nasty overall, but there's probably some nasty Stormtroopers. But yeah, I don't know. Good. That's
All right.
it.
All right, Kevin.
This is an interesting one.
What's
Are
the
you guys ready
verdict
for
here?
my verdict? All right.
Is it
I think
easy
I know
or
what
hard
your
for you?
verdict is.
This both.
Okay.
So I'm looking at it from two perspectives. If we're looking at like a whole like army of
Yeah.
each,
Yeah.
Stormtroopers hound down.
Oh yeah.
You get like, a couple hundred Stormtroopers, or a couple hundred Cobra Troopers. I think the Stormtroopers have it. Just
If they could
because
hit any of us with their guns.
yeah, well, yeah, that too. The thing is, I didn't say whole army. I just specifically said one. So if we're going by an individual basis, just one Stormtrooper versus one Cobra Trooper, I think the Cobra Trooper has it. I think he's going to be more creative in the way that he approaches things. Stormtroopers are going to be more disciplined. So, as a group, they're probably going to be better. But if it's just one, he's not going to know what to do with the Cobra Trooper who's just out wrecking havoc, as David said. So,
That's a fair
based
point.
on a one-on-one basis, one Stormtrooper versus one Cobra Trooper, I gotta give it to the Cobra Trooper.
I'll accept defeat.
I accept victory, but I do want to put a caveat on that. Like, it depends too, man. Like, there's a lot of really dumb, good for nothing Cobra Troopers that if they ran into a smart Stormtrooper, they wouldn't have a chance.
That's true.
But so
But
I
you could
think,
say the same thing the opposite way though.
I know it's
Yeah.
just it's hard to tell. My question is like training wise though. Like, of course I'm going to take the victory, but aren't the Stormtroopers much better No, I guess
It
they're
depends
not
on
really.
which Imperial Academy they go to. Some of them
Yeah,
are
it
good, some
does.
of them aren't.
But that's kind of my point though. Like because that's why like as an army, the stormtroopers would win because they're better trained and there's more of them. But since these Cobra Troopers are more like, hey, here's some basic training, why don't you go wreak havoc? I think on a one-on-one basis, the Cobra Trooper is going to be more likely to think outside the box a little bit because he's used to just going out and wrecking havoc. So I think that's where it gives him the advantage.
I got it. Like, I feel like all mine are inherently evil. Like, I feel like all the Cobra Troopers are inherently evil. Or I feel like some Stormtroopers enlist because, or they don't always enlist though, do they? But I feel like some of them think they're doing what's right and are maybe good
Yeah,
people.
they're like brainwashed and indoctrinated with the Empire's agenda and stuff. Yeah. I think the Cobra Troopers, same thing though. That's a terrorist
Yeah.
organization.
They really are kind of the same.
Man. Well, I accept defeat.
Now, what if you added a foot soldier in there? I think the foot soldier would be the lowest of all of them.
Oh, for sure.
And Ninja Turtles.
Foot soldier. Oh,
Although
they
they
have a
do have
foot.
ninja skills.
Are you talking about human foot soldier or cartoon robot foot soldier?
Yeah, because they didn't want they didn't want cartoons to kill humans. I'm gonna go human foot soldier.
Then yes, I think they would lose for sure.
They have shurikens.
That's true.
Yeah, but blaster rifle E11.
What's
No.
another one? I can't. There's not really any generic transformer, is there?
No.
No, there isn't. Dude, speaking of, I had this whole theory based on the cartoons alone. We're not talking about comic books. Based on the cartoons alone. You ever notice in the G.I. Joe cartoon, Cobra Commander's kind of an idiot, right?
Yes.
But like Destro, the Baroness, like all his like officers in the cartoon are pretty smart. It's just that Cobra Commander's an idiot. His one successful plan was to put his face on the moon. That's the only one he ever succeeded in the cartoon.
That's awesome. Though.
Transformers, on the other hand, Megatron's actually pretty smart. He comes up with some really good ideas. The problem is his Decepticons are all kind of idiots. So if you
Not
took
Soundwave.
Megatron and you put him in charge of Cobra, I think he would succeed.
Yeah, that's fair.
And you know
Interesting.
what else? Megatron's voice is the same person as Destro. Cobra Commander's voice is the same person as Starscream.
That's true.
And Skeletor, right? Isn't it?
No, Skeletor's different.
Oh, okay. Well, you gave me an idea here, Kevin. You've kind of cornered David and I into doing like something that you're like the Stormtrooper, Cobra Trooper. That's like very much your thing with the Star Wars and the G.I. Joe, two franchises you're a big fan of. So I kind of want to do something similar. I have an idea like this for you two guys. I'm going to take something that I'm really into that y'all are surface level fans or maybe not fans at all,
You're not
and
gonna
make you.
Are you going to tell us now, or are you going?
I'll text Kevin his and David yours.
So we got Dungeons and Dragons, Magic.
No, it's gonna be something Lord of the Rings related.
Could be.
All right, texted yours, Kevin.
It's
Oh, that's pretty good actually. I don't know how successful I'll be in my research, but that's pretty good.
I texted you, David.
Okay, I got it. All right.
So I'm excited about this challenge. I think it's gonna be fun and it's gonna be cool for me, the way this one was cool for Kevin. So, yeah. All right, guys. We do have some listener suggestions. We'll get around to those. We have quite a few, but I kind of like the specialty rounds we're doing here. And thanks for checking us out. If you have an idea for a throwdown, if you have another listener suggestion, you can email us at brothersbornpodcast@gmail.com. And our website's still down, but we still love hearing from you. And I hope y'all have a great week.
Yes, I agree.
Adios.
Speaking of Star Wars, if you haven't checked out, our last episode is about Star Wars shows that we wish existed that didn't on our other podcast, the Brothers Born podcast. So check that out as well.
That was a good episode.
All right, see you guys.
Bye.
Bye.